And if there is somebody who deserves the Bharat Ratna, it is that man, because he has impacted this country more than anybody else, including various prime ministers in this country.
What do you think that the current state of education is in India, and how will it be in future?
Terrible. in one word, it's terrible. Saying that we are the fifth largest is meaningless because we are the largest in terms of population, so we should be number one. But we are very far from there, and our per capita is very low. And the only way out is going to be through development of industry and
Namaste, Jai Hind. Welcome to Manthan. Following is the podcast with Shri Sanjay Bhargava sir. Currently, he is the chairman and trustee of Shikshan Mandal, education foundation by Bajaj, which is almost 100 years old. Sanjay sir is running almost 11 educational institutions in Vidarbha and around Maharashtra. He is he plays a very important role in the Bajaj, and he has had a very fascinating work life throughout his career. In 2000, he assisted Shri Rahul Bajaj as an MP when he was an MP, and he had done various interesting kind of jobs throughout his life, and has gained experience, especially in education and tech sector, a lot. So introducing him at a length would be a very long endeavor, so I'll keep it short. He's a very respected personality in the educational field, and he's a very important personality when it comes to the changing landscape of education, especially in a region like Wardha. So in this podcast, we did some chit chat about his life and the relevant and contemporary issues of India, which is in focus now. So we hope you will enjoy this podcast, and do like, share, and subscribe as always, and keep supporting us, because we are bringing such important persons living in Nagpur and Vidarbha to tell their story to the world. So thank you and enjoy.
Namaste, Jai Hind. Welcome to Manthan, and today we are at Wardha. Historically, a very significant place. Gandhiji spent a lot of time here and a very important time here. And today we are here because we are with Sanjay sir, Sanjay Bhargava sir. So first of all, thank you so much for giving us your precious time for this interview, and thank you for inviting us to this wonderful and a very historical place.
my pleasure.
So how are you?
I'm absolutely fine.
Yes, thank you. So I will like to start this interview by बस मुझे ये जानना है कि you are a person who has been into the IIMs. You have been into that environment of management and businesses. So but now you are working in the education sector. So how did this shift happen for you? From being a grad of IIMs and now being in the education.
This life happens.
Yeah.
And what brought me to Wardha was Mr. Bajaj becoming a Rajya Sabha MP because Pramod Mahajan died.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a series of incidents that. So when he became, and I had been working with him since 1990. This is 2006, and the MP has MP led funds. That point of time it was 2 crores a year to spend. So I have been in and out of Nagpur since 1965.
Okay.
And I suggested to him, I knew I had not come to Wardha, I knew that they were from Wardha, so I suggested that they spend the money in Wardha district. And in his typical way, he said, okay, we'll spend it in Wardha, now you go and figure out how to spend it. So I came to Wardha to spend the MP-led funds of Mr. Bajaj. And having come here, I got introduced to Bajaj institutions here, of which Shiksha Mandal is the largest one. And what happened was that at Shiksha Mandal at that point of time was had to be run by an aging Narayan Jaju, who had run it from 82 to 95. Then another gentleman took over. Unfortunately, he died. And there was a vacuum. So Mr. Bajaj, since he had re-engaged with Wardha, asked me if I would look after this place for 5 years, and now it has been 15. So I saw the challenge of our Shiksha Mandal has 9,000 students, 8 colleges, and is out of 8 colleges, 6 are funded by the government. So the basic challenge is how to have good quality in publicly funded institutions. That was the challenge that brought me here. My own journey, it's now 45 years since I started to work, and I was not your typical corporate type. Even when I was in IIM Bangalore, I specialized in economic planning because 4 or 5 of us got together and said, let's do economic planning. And my first job was with the National Dairy Development Board in their oilseed project. And I was interested in agriculture.
Okay.
So my job even with Unilever was in their agri products division.
Achha.
So things took me to Pune, and then I was with Bajaj, and then this was not something that I didn't like doing. I took up this challenge, and then on, it's been a journey.
Yeah. So you have been working in Wardha for quite some time now. I wanted to ask ki, matlab, how this system of education in Wardha is different from maybe a city like Nagpur or Pune, because the demographic is very different. So how does education works here?
See, I happen to be working in Wardha. I have worked in 8 states of this country, and I work for this country.
Yeah.
It just happens that I got the opportunity to be in Wardha. And fundamentally, I believe that it is the responsibility of a civilized society to provide good quality education to its children. And Wardha, that is the broader background as we go further. But Wardha is both urban and rural. That is what marks it out from other places. So a large majority of our students are from rural areas. They are not from Wardha town, but they are from adjoining villages in a 40-50 kilometer radius. So that is, and village society is still is still the old Indian society. The urban society has changed. So the student in Wardha comes from the economic profile is that they are mostly coming from households with incomes less than 20,000 rupees a month. And they are connected with farming or with petty trade. So the whole profile is very different, but their value system is, I believe, far stronger and better than in other places. Now, historically also, this is a thing which has happened in India. Globally, higher education is in small places. It's not in the large towns. So if you go down to there's a concept of a university town in Europe.
Yes.
So whether it's Freiburg or Gothenburg and even if you look at America, all Yale, Cornell are not in large cities. So I believe that Wardha is actually placed very nicely to become an educational center. But there's a challenge working with these kids. But I think when we talk over what we've been able to achieve, I think talent is not a function of geography or income. Talent is talent. It's a question of what kind of nurturance it has.
It has, of course. So you have been into education, and this question keeps coming in my mind, that what do you think that the current state of education is in India, and how will it be in future?
Terrible. in one word, it's terrible and getting worse. So in 2014, Mr. Bajaj and I wrote an article in the Times of India saying, unshackle the education sector. And if I reread that, I would not change it very much. And now, for the last 5 years, we are engaging with the primary schools all over the district through a Bajaj Trust. And there, the system has absolutely collapsed uh, for a variety of reasons. There are no teachers in the Zilla Parishad schools which are up to primary. Not adequate number of teachers. Since 2013, there's been no recruitment. There are lots of issues about quality there, but the whole structure that we had built up. One of the good things this country did was to make education accessible to everybody through this public system. But most people who have been given responsibility for it have abused it. And today you are moving to a stage where good quality education or decent quality education will not be accessible to people with lower incomes.
I also read in your blog that the state of education is that in these places that a teacher of maths is teaching English in the Parishad schools.
No, because they don't have a concept
Yeah.
of taking subject-wise teachers. They hire them through that whole entrance exam where nobody is asking that, we need, so you need for maths, English, science, you need teachers trained in that area. And the older people are all 10th pass, 12th pass when you have postgraduates who are unemployed. So there is no, but that system, one of the things which marks us, and I think our minds are colonized because we take rules and systems as given and do not, question that whether they are right or wrong and change them. So there is I shudder at the prospect of what social implications this closing of education will do. We also see the great thirst. Everybody knows that education is the route for social mobility, and we see the thirst in the eyes of people with lower incomes for education. We have students coming from Hingan Ghat. The whole college system has been destroyed, and we in Shiksha Mandal are both sad and proud to be an oasis of both ethics and quality.
So can you tell me that what the Bajaj are doing and the Shiksha Mandal is doing in Wardha to make a change in the sector of education? Some initiatives which you have taken under your regime.
See, Shiksha Mandal was a national institution. The first education conference in this country was held in 1937 in Shiksha Mandal, where Gandhiji presided, and the whole concept of Nai Talim was propounded. It didn't go anywhere. So we were a national institution. Shriman Narayan, who was an outstanding teacher, was responsible for this institution till 1980. Okay. So we started commerce. We were pioneers in teaching commerce in the vernacular. We were the only, till Khandesh, students came to this institution. Then we went into science in the 60s. We went into a rural institute in the 60s. Thereon, what we have now, but those, because of a variety of reasons, our quality had slid. And what we've done in the last 15 years is to make sure that the quality, there's a reasonably good quality education that is available, and it keeps going up. And the key things that we've done there is, firstly, we have moved all our colleges into a single shift.
Okay.
Colleges have junior college and senior college, and most work in shifts, which makes them railway platforms and which destroys the whole sense of the college. So it's a very simple thing. It doesn't cost a lot of money. Fortunately, we have adequate land in Wardha. So we shifted to, and then we focused on quality, on employability. And two of our colleges are the only grant colleges in especially Nagpur region who became autonomous. So that which means they got good NAC grades. We have taken responsibility for our curriculum gets updated. We run exams which are fair to the student, and we are moving in that direction. We in the next 2 years we should become a cluster university.
Yeah.
At all points of time, we are ensuring that the cost of education does not increase. Even when we become
That is viable.
autonomous, fees have not changed. The other big initiative we took was to start an engineering college. This process started in 2010. For a variety of reasons, it took us 2017 to start it. And if technology, I come from the industry sector, and we are very clear that it's technology that drives the economy. And if you're not in the technology space, you're going to be irrelevant.
Yeah.
So Shiksha Mandal we had a polytechnic, we have an agriculture college, which is another unique part of us. But we started, and the Bajajes have spent 130 crores on that project. And I'm very glad to say that in 6 years, we moved quite a bit. 2 years ago, in the Smart Hackathon run by the Ministry of Education, it was the fourth best institution in the country.
Okay.
So that has been done. The other major thing we did in 2007 was to start a science center, which is not a very novel concept, but the fact is that there is no such science center outside Pune in the whole state of Maharashtra. You have a science museum in Nagpur, you have science museums, but this is a place for kids between 5th and 9th to enjoy science.
Okay.
And this was running in Pune, and I was familiar with it because my son went there. My wife used to occasionally teach there. And we were lucky to get the director of that Pune place to come and spend at least half a month here. And today, for 200 places, 1,700 people sit for the entrance exam. And mind you, in Bajaj, we are very, very much private in all these things that we are doing, but our purpose is only public. So every student gets admission based on merit. If he doesn't have the money, it doesn't matter. So even to the extent of hostels, even food in the hostels, there is a girl called Sanjali Chauhan who's now in PKV, and she was a meritorious student, and we took care of her through. So we are committed that in Wardha, long ago, there was a UGC chairman whom I met, Mr. Thorat, I think, and he said that education is, closing its doors to the poor. And I said, in Wardha, it is not. We have a wide variety of courses, and we have made this promise. And in Bajaj, we don't make promises lightly. We first do, and then we talk. That no student in Wardha district will not get educated because meritorious student because he didn't have the money. So this is broadly what we've been doing, and now for the last 3 years, we've got involved with primary schooling because we realize that until your foundation is strong, and we are looking at, even in Wardha, all the municipal schools have essentially closed down. And we have rejuvenated one Kamala Nehru school, which in a year's time has been rated as one of the top 100 schools in the state. So we are now getting involved, and Shiksha Mandal teachers are very much involved in that project. We are able to do a very large project with very little money. We are spending only 10 lakh rupees a year, largely on transportation, but we are providing a backbone for primary education and secondary education in the
And
district.
also quality education.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a tremendous, that these are very big things that you're doing. A very light question to you. How has life been in Vaarta? Because you have stayed at numerous places. You have been to Pune, you have been to Nagpur, but you live in such a quiet and peaceful place. So how is life here?
We are not, both of us have been committed to our professions. So we are not very social people, though we now have a house in Pune, but and a friend circle. But here I live in Wardha, and Wardha is like Nagpur was 60 years ago. But we have almost a zero social life. Work and Shiksha Mandal and its people consume So, and as you can see, we live in very peaceful circumstances,
Yes.
and we enjoy it. Uh, but I'm afraid I have very little to do with Wardha. For 10 years, I shuttled between Pune and Wardha, coming for 3 days, and I only knew the way from the airport to Shiksha Mandal and back. And I wouldn't even cross the road. Last 5 years, I'm here. I've been to 100 villages in the district, but so Wardha's, sorry to say, nice but irrelevant to my existence.
So you have been in industry, you have worked in the industry. How was industry back then, and how it has changed over the years?
Well, it's been a huge change,
Hmm.
and I was lucky to be at the cusp of that change. I joined industry in '79 when there was a waiting list for everything,
Hmm.
and there was government requirement of government approvals to do anything. For example, in Bajaj, the steel sheets used to be imported, and they are imported in different sizes and different thicknesses, and you would have to get a clearance from Delhi to buy that. So, but gradually it changed from '79 onwards, '81 onwards. The moment Rajiv Gandhi
Hmm.
came on the scene, at least controls on licensing started to relax in automobile industry. But the liberalization of '91 was a very significant
Movement, yeah.
move, and that opened up. Though in the automobile industry, all the competitors that are here today came in the '80s.
Hmm.
So '80s onwards, things started to change, and we are now living in a very different environment of virtually. I was manager corporate in Bajaj, and after '91, I didn't have a job, so I moved to exports because there was very little to do with the government. So it's been a sea change, but it has also. Maybe I will share with you something I wrote for the Economic Times in 1995. But I'm sorry to say that Indian industry has by and large performed poorly.
Hmm.
Very few companies are globally competitive. Exceptions like Bajaj are there, but most companies, if you look at what were the groups then and what are the groups now,
No.
and what we are doing, what kind of products we are making, and the future, I think Indian industry is not. So there is global industry in India, and there's a market in India that is growing, but the competitiveness of Indian industry is very patchy,
Okay.
and which should not be the case because we have practically, with such a huge population, we have world class people. But
Hmm.
so that is another discussion as to why with so as somebody Rekhi said, I think we are first rate people with third rate governance.
Hmm. Uh, so you have been into the rise and fall of industries, markets. What do you think that what does it take to create a successful industry? And another question is, what do you think the current state of business in India is? For example, if I say like I want to build an industry, what advice will you give me?
No, it see today the situation is very different.
Hmm.
Today, 45 years ago, you needed a lot of capital to start an industry.
Hmm.
Today, you have private equity.
Yeah.
Uh, so what you need is a business idea. You should need technology. The kind of aggregators that we have in this country, I don't treat them as serious industrialists,
Hmm.
and as you're seeing them implode. Uh, but I think fundamentally, because I was in exports, because I was in Bajaj, because I lived in Germany for a year,
Hmm.
there's a very cleavage between the way Indian mind works on business and the
Yeah.
global mind works on business.
Hmm.
I was also involved with the WTO uh, on behalf of Bajaj and CI. The real problem is that in India, people want to make money and they think business or anything is a way to make money, and they're
Money.
focused on that.
Hmm.
Globally, people are saying that I want to build a good business.
Yeah.
and these are very. This is a this is a very big difference. So I don't know whether it's true, but Sergey Brin of Google was offered maybe $300 million by Microsoft to sell out in 2005, but they didn't take it. While in India, people celebrate when they sell out to the foreigner. So there is an absolute. That is one of the fundamental things that is there. The other is that especially in manufacturing, there are the whole ethos. From independence, we've got it wrong. That the economy, who's the economy run by? The economy is run by producers of goods and services. The role of the government is to provide public goods. This is not what has happened here. So the labor policy in India, the corruption that you have to face in doing business, is keeping people off from investing in our country. Everybody is running away from China, but very few are coming to India because of the lack of ease of business, whatever maybe the parameters. But the fundamental fact is, unless you change the labor policy and you do not extract rent from business in the manner that it happens, people will not invest. And that is why, though we are growing, we are not creating employment, and there is an unemployment crisis emerging. So unless we make some fundamental changes, but we are a large country with a lot of people, with a lot of energy, and the positive side is that people have become very entrepreneurial in their outlook.
Self-reliant.
The lack of development of Vidarbh is basically because people want government jobs. So that energy is, and the advent of IT and the scope it gives to people with brains, is what is keeping. So there are a million entrepreneurs doing stuff, and therefore the country is moving. But today our per capita income was last 2 years ago less than Bangladesh. And so I think saying that we are the fifth largest is meaningless, because we are the largest in terms of population. So we should be number one. But we are very far from there, and our per capita is very low. And the only way out is going to be through development of industry. And what I've seen in the last 5 years, I believe, though we are now in an agrarian crisis, we have climate change, we have the farmers at the barricades, but Indian agriculture is competitive, but the village is being hugely neglected. And that is why we are where we are.
Okay. We talk about India. You have seen India change and go through different changes, culturally, socially, politically. Just wanted to ask that, what is your perception of India at the moment? What do you think of India at the moment, at the stage we are today?
I think, there are pluses and minuses, but there are more minuses than pluses. We should be economically in a different state. We still have too little income spread at all levels. So I remain, if you're in business, you are eternally optimistic. If you are not optimistic, you will stop functioning. But we are also realists. We have to be realists. So I see some things which, for example, this whole business of digitization, which is happening in the world, is going to require a lot of manpower. And that kind of manpower, whatever be our quality of education, but because of sheer numbers and some fairly reasonable institutions, all that work is going to be done by Indians in India. So there are a lot of opportunities. In manufacturing, there are opportunities. I can tell you that Indian manufacturing is competitive. My son runs a unit which had a choice to be in China, but they are in India and Ahmedabad and exporting all their stuff to Africa. But the quality of governance and the quality of management that we have is far below par, and that is what is holding us back. And the culture of the what values we are espousing fundamentally are things which do not take you forward. So freebies don't take a nation forward. If people think that hope takes a nation forward, work takes a nation forward, but freebies don't. And fortunately, our people, especially now I am interacting with a lot of people from rural areas or in Wardha, people have no illusions. They are not, but the whole environment is not conducive to development.
Okay.
And our priorities are hugely distorted. We don't have, I can name that I'm now dealing with rural areas. There are very simple problems that are almost nationally there. There is a problem of the wild boar coming and eating into your thing, or the cow coming and eating your stuff. Why are we not dealing with it? There are no roads to go to the farm in 70% of Wardha district. I know Wardha district. I can, and I'm sure the situation is not very different there. There is a rethink required for the irrigation system for today, which has to be based on wells and micro irrigation and not large dams. That is not happening. We are spending money on loss-making ventures like the Samruddhi Express and metros all over the place.
So basically, we are investing in macros and not micros.
No, we are not. See, because I once coined a phrase saying that we are a country that is seduced by its own delusions. We somehow, and in Wardha, especially in Wardha, one can see what kind of thinking was going on pre-independence. And that was very clear thinking and very good thinking. By and large, I think post-independence, and it has nothing to do with Party X or Party Y, we have not been thinking, and we are doing things which are mimicking, which have theatrical value, but we are not focusing on the basics of education, of agriculture, of irrigation, of industry, which is where we should be focusing, and that has to do as much with the citizenry of this country as with governance, because ultimately we select the people we govern. And one of the big things that has happened in this country is that since the mid-60s, the middle class has been running away from this country. And the whole perspective has become extremely self-centric. That is not going to be a place unless our whole sense of community has broken down in the true sense of working together for a common purpose. There's a whole caste-based for the political system is overriding the needs of society. So therefore we are where we are, but you can always move. I had the privilege of working for Dr. Kurian in National Dairy Development Board, and if there is somebody who deserves the Bharat Ratna, it is that man, because he has impacted this country more than anybody else, including various prime ministers in this country. And he said, go to a small place, put your head down and work, and which is what he did in Anand. So I have been kind of.
What you are doing also.
That is what I have been, especially in Wardha. That is what I am doing.
Yeah, exactly. So last question of the podcast: what are your future plans? I mean, at this stage of life, what do you look forward to more in life?
There's a quote of Mr. Bajaj saying that only idiots retire. No, at this stage, I'm very happy doing what I'm doing. I know my limitations, and if you're too long into a role, you start becoming part of the problem instead of becoming part of the solution. But I would be working on education and irrigation, whether through Bajaj. And I have recently set up a foundation. I believe that at least half your wealth you should give away, and I'm in the process of doing that. And that will do micro stuff which are not possible in an organized corporate thing. I see it as complementary to whatever I'm doing in Bajaj. But I would like to see Wardha develop, and in any way in which I can help. And what we have managed to get into this district is a sense of hope on not very big things, but on a lot of things. Now in this district, we have brought that in, and just give you it's small work, but things which haven't been done for 50 years. We just desilting nalas, and we brought in. My colleagues have brought in 5,000 of acres of land which used to go underwater in Kharif into production. That translates into 10 crore of rupees of income every year. So a lot is possible. A lot is possible, and I'm fortunate that I have been given a platform by the Bajaj Group to do that.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. So thank you for coming. I mean, we coming here and giving us your time. You had a very interesting perspective about things. So my team wishes you all the best for your future endeavors, and I hope that you will always put your head down and work like you always do. So thank you for the time, and thank you for watching. For more such interesting interviews with personalities like Sanjay sir, keep watching an Indic podcast. Like, share, and subscribe. Namaste, Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you.